And the other thing that was going on at that time is I had this tremendous deal in Japan.
Yes.
I mean, I was Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody were probably two of the biggest gaijin foreign wrestlers ever in Japan.
Yep.
I mean, they were huge. And then Brody jumped ship and went from All Japan to New Japan, and Stan needed a new partner, and he came to me and he says, Ted, he says, yeah, you want the job? I said, hell yeah, let's do it. And I put on the chaps and the vest and the whole deal. I don't know if anybody's seen that. I don't know if you can find a picture of that, but 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 I did that, and of course that was going on, and I can remember sitting in the back of the Houston Coliseum talking to Bruce Pritchard, and I was getting ready to go to Japan, and and Bruce said, "Well," he says, I'm gonna fly up to New York, and see about getting a job up there next week." And I just said, "Hey, Bruce," I said, "throw my name out. They know me up there. I was there once, back, it was back when Vince Senior was still the boss, but they know me now. See if they're interested." I remember coming back to the hotel in Tokyo from one of the trips, and at the front desk, I had a message, and it said, "Call Bruce Pritchard ASAP." And so I called Bruce, and he said, not only is he interested, he's extremely interested. And he said, so whatever you do. And the other thing that happened on that trip, when I went to Japan, was when I got back to Mid South, Bill Watts had sold his territory to Crockett.
Right.
And so, and then that's the other thing I was told. He says, do not do a job for anybody, you know, because until this thing is settled. And so, I had my allegiance was to Bill Watts, and he because he saw it coming. That's how smart Bill was. He said, he said, I didn't have the wherewithal or the money to fight Vince. It was just too big. And so he says, I got out, and I sold out. But that was the deal. It's like, whatever you do, do not sign a contract with Jim Crockett or that organization until you have a chance to talk to Vince McMahon. And the rest is history.
Man, I cannot wait to talk about the final days of the UWF or Mid South or whatever you want to call it, and your entry into the WWF. Before we move on, though, I did want to mention something that let's hammer home this point. Ted is in Japan replacing Bruiser Brody, and so like Bruiser Brody was a massive star. So is Stan
Oh,
Hansen.
yeah,
And so for Ted to get that spot, I mean, you want to talk about a vote of confidence for you to
yeah,
become Stan Hansen's tag team partner? Absolutely huge, isn't it?
yeah. It was huge. It was huge. I mean, and I was, and I'd been making annual trips to Japan. I'd make one trip to Japan a year, and and then, but when this thing came up, and when Stan approached me about it, he said, look, I need a new partner, and I want. He says, I want to know if you'd be interested. I said, are you serious? I mean, here's the deal. If I'd have taken that and kept it, I could have been like Stan. I could have just gone to Japan 5 or 6 times a year, and I would have made big money. I mean, I was uh, okay back then. Now this what year was that? 80 what?
87.
Okay, I was making $1,000 a night in Japan.
That is big money. And I mean, that's big money now for most
Yeah,
households. 1987. Holy smokes.
yeah. And so, but the other thing that I had to consider was just that. It's like if I'm going to remain uh, a name, or if I'm going to be relevant in my own country, then I have no choice but to go to work for Vince.
Yep.
And like I said, when I got that message from Pritchard, he said, "Man, he's really interested in you." And I said, "Great." And so uh, I went back and waited for the call and took the trip to New York, and the rest is history.
Man, you got the gimmick that Vince has often said that he would have taken himself if he had been able to be a professional wrestler.
I said
Uh,
it. I told everybody, I said, if Vince could have been a character in his own show, he'd have been me.
yeah,
He would have been the $1 Million Man.